Hi everyone. So today I'll be talking about abandonment and rejection. Wonderful, isn't it? Light subject for Saturday morning, especially when it's so sunny. Um, so why this came up for me? Basically, in the last few days, it started Wednesday morning. I woke up feeling really out of sorts, be it due to pregnancy hormones. I was just really emotional and couldn't really put a finger on it, just felt really unsettled. Then I received a phone call from someone that's quite close to me, and I just situation happened where I got really triggered, and all these feelings of very familiar feelings of feeling rejected, feeling abandoned. I could really feel how it's all been linked to how I felt as a child. And all these memories were flooding me as well of what has happened as a child and ever since, really. All this evidence that I'm no one's priority ever, that no one really cares, and people just reject me all the time. I mean, we're talking generally men, but it's people, like, it can be like parents and stuff like that, so it's not necessarily just in relationships. So all these feelings were coming up, all these memories was coming up, my mind was on overdrive, just thinking all these different thoughts, all these different angles. I felt really upset, I felt really angry, and yeah, it was a very interesting situation for me because it's something I have dealt with over and over again in therapy, and obviously it has come up again. So, over the last few months, especially with my work, it's something I have really, and with discussions with my teachers, I have come to realize that, certain things, the kind of existential issues like abandonment, rejection, not being good enough, all that kind of stuff that's really there in our core, however well hidden, it's just there, and at this stage it really looks like it's always gonna be there. It's just about how I'm gonna learn to live with it without it affecting my life negatively. So what I mean is, like, in the past, what would have happened when this situation triggered me into this feeling of rejected, abandoned, I would very likely go to depression, because depression numbs you. It cuts all the feelings, safe space, right? So I either get depressed or I probably get really anxious without really knowing what was going on. Therefore, I would probably binge eat, whether it was for depression or anxiety, just to push everything down. I'd be very likely blaming the person or the situation that had triggered me, without taking any responsibility for it, and without really learning what was behind it, why I was feeling such a strong feelings about something that perhaps doesn't even matter so much in the now. And when I was young, like really young child, I got when I got really, really angry, I used to get violent as well. So I would either hit people or whatever was around me, really. I was quite angry person. Not something that would happen all the time, but when it happened, oh my goodness, it was like a tornado. So that's something, obviously, over time, with a lot of therapy, I have managed. And I don't have violent outbursts anymore. Thank God for that. It's safe to be around me, I promise. Nowadays, how I deal with it is, for example, what I did right now was ensure that I have therapy upcoming. So I've had session yesterday, I have another one on Monday, I have another on Friday, another one the following Friday. So I know, 4 sessions not going to sort everything out, but it's, close enough to each other that I'll be able to really start digging into this and open it up, just to help me to get over the worst, so then I can continue working on it with either further assisted therapy or just by myself, because fortunately as a therapist I have the tools to do a lot of stuff by myself, which is great, but sometimes you just need that extra external help. Hence I booked my therapy sessions. The other thing I'm doing now, which I didn't used to, was feel all the emotions fully. So all that anger, all that sadness, all that disappointment, frustration, all these kind of emotions that have been coming up for me. I just feel them, all the pain, because underneath it all, underneath all that anger, underneath all that sadness, what's really down there? It's real pain, it's grief, it's it really reminds me the way it felt. Like yesterday was quite intense, for example. It really felt very similar to what I used to feel after Enrique, my late husband, died, and it's in kind of very intense periods. That's the kind of like bone crushing pain in your chest. However, because I'm willing to feel it and just be with it, knowing it's completely safe, it's just gonna hurt a bit and it's gonna pass. That's literally what happens. It passes within minutes. It just goes, and then the relief comes, the feeling of peace comes. And then, the anger might arise again, and I'll just go through the same process, just allow myself to feel it, not express it violently, just feel it within me, allow it, without feeding it more with my thoughts. I really have to be mindful of what I'm thinking and stopping the cycle of the constant, how dares he, who does she think she is, why would they do this to me, all that kind of stuff that goes on, creating all sorts of stories. So I'm very mindful of interrupting that process constantly with breathing techniques. Writing I find really helpful. If I just write it out, then I externalize it, and it helps to just stop the constant thinking. I'm already feeling so much better, and it doesn't feel like that feeling of abandonment rejection is completely gone. It doesn't feel like, I've somehow magically resolved it. It just feels like I'm in control. Like I don't need to allow it to control my life and my responses. I've dealt with it in much healthier way than I would have done in the past. I didn't get depressed, I didn't get anxious, I didn't binge eat. I wasn't blaming anyone, I wasn't blaming the situation, I wasn't blaming the person. And I definitely wasn't violent towards anyone. What I did was just process the emotions, so feel them fully. I spoke to my therapist, obviously, and we work on it somewhat, and then have a few more sessions coming up to continue kind of unravel it, and see how we can soften it and ease it up, so next time it comes up it's going to be even easier to deal with. So why I'm telling you all this is because if you're a human being and you're alive, you very likely have abandonment and rejection issues somewhere buried deep within. You might be already aware of it. It might be actually coming up for you reasonably often whenever a date cancels on you, or your husband or wife don't text you when they meant to, or when a child reaches for someone else than you, or your dog doesn't listen to you, like all these things. It can be even things like, a friend not seeing you on the street, passing you by without saying hi. All these little things can really trigger these deep, unresolved issues of abandonment and rejection from your past, from really deep childhood. We're talking when you were a baby. You don't have necessarily any memories associated with it. And then all these emotions come out, either anger or sadness or upset, or this feeling of worthlessness or anything like this, or I'm not good enough. Without, like if someone doesn't see you on the street and doesn't say hi and you get really upset about it, is it really, appropriate reaction? So if it isn't, then it just shows you that it's something much deeper that you might need to explore. If you have the training, if you have the awareness, you can do a lot of the exploring on your own. But I would recommend finding a good coach, good therapist to help you, to guide you through this, to support you through the exploration, because it can be pretty hardcore and pretty emotional. And you need the tools to be able to cope with the emotions that will come up as you dig into it. But unless you dig into it, unless you learn how to cope with it, it will keep affecting your life in a negative way. It will keep affecting your relationships. It will be creating drama in your life that you certainly don't need. It's a waste of energy and it's tiring. So if you want to have more peaceful, more blissful life with where you have more control over how you feel and what happens to you, then I really recommend find yourself a good therapist. Me, for example. Find yourself a good therapist, good coach, and do something about it. Explore yourself and heal yourself. All right, that's it from me. I'm gonna leave you with it. Please do not feel abandoned and rejected. I love you very much, and I will be back next week. Take care. Bye bye.